Greetings and namaste. This is Shiva, your friendly neighborhood wellness guide, coming at you with part 3 of my eating process series of videos. So in the previous 2 videos, we first explored why the eating process is important, not just what we eat, but how we eat it. And then we kind of came up with this mnemonic, aware and clear, 2 words to remember what needs to happen as part of that process, which is divided into 3 phases: before eating, during eating, and after eating. So in the first 2 videos, we covered the first 2 phases, before and during. So the before is covered by the first 3 letters of aware, A-W-A, that refer to attitude, water, and atmosphere. And then the next 3 letters, or the last 2 letters of aware, R and E, and the first letter of clear refer to the next phase, which is the during eating, which is the relish, the enjoy, and the chew, right? So that's the during piece. Now we come to the after piece, which is the last 4 letters, the word clear, which is L-E-A-R, right? So now L refers to lying, or to lay. Now that's an interesting one. May not be very intuitive. Why would one lay down, right? But we'll get into that. Then comes E, which is easy activity. Now that makes a little sense, right? Then we come to A, which is asan, and then we come to R, which is rehydrate. So let's look at all 4 of these in turn. So the L is laying down, and what you want to do is, the ancient yogis found that, there's a complex system of energy in the body, but simply said, when we lay down on a certain side, it basically fires up a certain energy. And by laying down on our right side, we basically let the left side of our body be open, which is the solar energy, the energy of digestion. The fire of the sun is what fires our digestion. And in Ayurveda, they basically say that you want to have the heaviest meal of the day at midday, because that's when the sun is typically at its peak. And that really is combining the outside energy with the internal fire, which is at its peak, again, during midday, if hopefully people are sleeping and waking up at a reasonably cyclical time. And that really helps with digestion overall. So you want to lay down on your right side, so your left side is open and available to digestion. And there's significance to the nostrils being open to facilitate that. When the right nostril is more open, it actually is more solar in nature, because the right nostril connects to the left part of our brain, which is again the solar piece. So that's the laying down. Then we come to the E, which is easy activity. So now if you think about it just logically, right, when we've just ingested a lot of food, and when I say a lot, what's appropriate to nourish us, where's all the activity going to happen? It's going to be going to our core. It's going to be digesting all that food. A lot of blood is flowing there, secretions, the glandular system is working. Now if we start doing something strenuous or something very mentally absorbing, that's probably not the best thing. So you want to do something that's an easy activity. That's the E. Could be, like stroll. Could be putting the dishes away. Could be, just going about something in a very sort of easy way. It could be could be something a little more involved, like gardening. But as long as you're doing it with this ease, and you're letting that digestive process just carry on, that's the intention here. So the next one is A. Now asan. Now yoga offers several asanas for digestion. A common misconception in yoga, or a myth that I've heard, is you've got to do it on an empty stomach. Sure, that's the case for a majority of postures. That's the case for a lot of the cleansing techniques, purification techniques, the kriyas. But there are certain asanas that can and should be done after eating. So Vajrasan, Virasana, Padmasana are all examples of those. Typically your supine or not supine, but seated poses, seated asanas, are the ones that you want to do after eating. And these 3 that I mentioned are examples of that. And we can cover those in separate videos of, how to actually go into those, and how, depending on your current capacity and flexibility, there's different adjustments or modifications that can be done to make those more accessible. But doing these asanas for, say, anywhere from a couple minutes at least to up to 15 minutes is greatly helpful in facilitating the process of digestion. Again, these postures are very core focused. Erect spine, there's a lot of focus on the core here, and that's where you want the focus to be for these asanas. The last thing you want to do is something like an inversion, right? Which is taking blood away from your core. So we've got the we've got the L-E-A, and the last one is R, which is rehydrate. So we spoke about how we want to space water and meals, right? We don't want to combine water and meals, and we certainly don't want to combine water that's at a much lower temperature than our meals. So similarly, we don't want to inundate or flood our system and dilute our digestive fire or pour water on it after our meals. When the digestive fire is really working itself, last thing you want to do is pour water on it, right? That's when you don't want the fireman. That's one of the fires you don't want to put out. So think about having water maybe about at least a half hour after meals. So a half hour rule is, it's easy to remember. Don't have water a half hour before you start eating, and don't have it for a half hour after. And if you're doing things like the easy activity, the asana, and the laying down, before you know it, the half hour is gone already, right? So it means a longer lunch hour, but again, all of these are things you can sprinkle into your current routine, one at a time, or a fraction at a time, just to make it that much better, and it'll pay off. And once it starts paying off, you'll be drawn toward it automatically. I don't do it a lot of days, but the days I do, oh man, I'm like, wow, this is a completely different experience. And the water thing, if you think about it, when it's all linked. So when you're like chewing your food better, you're actually generating more saliva, and there's less of that thirst anyway. Similarly, in the post-digestive phase, when you're doing all of these things, you're basically breathing and energizing your system, and therefore there's less of a hunger for like a stimulant, like a sugary drink, or even tea, pick me up, because you're naturally tapping into your body's self-generating energy to get you over that hump of digestion. And of course, it pays to eat in moderation. Eat what is reasonable. I know on the days, I get up in the morning, I do my stuff, nature's call and whatnot, and then that's the part when I feel really light. It's the combination of the vata atmosphere of the early morning. It's that fresh air, it's the birds chirping, it's the softness of the sun that's coming up. All of those combine to give a real feeling of lightness, and that's really when I personally feel the lightest in my core. I mean, just explore your look into your day and see when does your core feel the lightest, and do you get progressively heavy through the day? That's not a thing. It's not meant to be that way. We're meant to function optimally when we're up, and when we're down, we're meant to rest optimally. That's as simple as it gets. So when I find that I tune into this feeling of lightness, then I have a lesser need to go and like grab something from the fridge or have more than is necessary just because it tastes so good. I can make the taste last longer simply by chewing more. I can make the taste much more deeper simply by relishing it, by enjoying it, by offering gratitude. So that's a lot of stuff to literally chew on, food for thought, like I said. But think about the eating process. That's my invitation. Is make it. What would it mean like to make it meaningful? If we don't have time to eat and nourish ourselves, where do we think we might end up in life? So on that note, I will leave you to maybe some pondering and some enjoyable eating experiences, Till we meet again, this is Shiva signing off in wellness and joy.